The dinner table was set like a celebration, but nothing about it felt warm. Crystal glasses caught the light. White flowers sat neatly in the center, their scent heavy and artificial, as if trying too hard to mask something rotten underneath. Wedding brochures were spread across the table, venues with chandeliers, menus written in elegant fonts, color palettes chosen with obsessive care. Everyone was talking at once, voices overlapping in excitement that didn't include her. She sat at the edge of the table, hands folded tightly in her lap, shoulders drawn in as if trying to take up less space. She had learned how to do that early in life, be smaller, quieter, easier to ignore. Tonight was no different. Her sister was glowing. That was the word everyone kept using. Glowing with happiness. Glowing with pride. Glowing like someone who had never doubted she belonged. And then when I walked down the aisle, her sister said, laughing, everyone will finally see what real perfection looks like. Their parents smiled indulgently. Her mother nodded, eyes shining. Her father raised his glass in agreement. No one looked at her. She swallowed the familiar ache in her chest. She had helped pay for this dinner. Helped pay for the venue brochures now scattered like trophies across the table. She had driven her sister to fittings, listened to complaints, absorbed insults disguised as jokes. She told herself it was fine. Family was like this, wasn't it? You endured. You stayed quiet. You loved anyway. Then her sister turned toward her. It was sudden, sharp, like a blade catching light. You know, her sister said casually, twirling her fork, I've been thinking about wedding gifts. A few laughs followed. Someone asked what kind. Her sister's eyes locked onto hers. There was no warmth there. Only irritation. Long-held resentment. Something ugly and proud. The greatest wedding gift, she said slowly, clearly, would be for you to disappear from this family forever. The words landed heavy. Deliberate. Designed to hurt. The room went silent. She waited, heart pounding, for someone to laugh it off. For her mother to scold her sister. For her father to say that was enough. Instead, her mother looked away. She watched her mother's gaze drop to her plate, watched her fingers tighten around her napkin as if silence were easier than defense. Her father nodded. Just once. A small nod. Practical. Final. That was the moment something inside her broke, not loudly, not dramatically, but cleanly. Like a thread snapping after being pulled too tight for too long. Years flashed through her mind, birthdays forgotten, achievements minimized, sacrifices expected but never thanked. She remembered being told to be patient, to be understanding, to not make things difficult. She remembered paying bills, fixing problems, being reliable while never being cherished. And suddenly, she understood. This wasn't a joke. This wasn't stress. This was the truth they had always believed. She lifted her head. Her voice, when she spoke, surprised even her. It was calm. Steady. Almost gentle. Okay, she said. No anger. No tears. Just acceptance. They blinked, confused by how easily she agreed. Her sister smirked, satisfied. Her parents relaxed, as if an inconvenience had finally resolved itself. They returned to their wedding plans within seconds, already moving on. They didn't see the way her hands stopped shaking. They didn't see the quiet resolve settle behind her eyes. They thought they had won. None of them realized that they had just given her permission to stop loving them back, and that would cost them far more than they could imagine. The morning after the dinner, she woke before the sun. There were no tears on her pillow, no dramatic collapse of grief the way movies promised. Instead, there was a strange calm, heavy but steady, like standing at the edge of a deep lake and finally deciding to step in. She made herself coffee and drank it slowly, staring at the pale light creeping through the curtains of the house she had lived in for years. The house that echoed with her footsteps. The house she had paid for, maintained, protected, while never quite being allowed to belong. She didn't rush. There was no need anymore. Her phone lay on the table, silent. No messages from her parents. No apology from her sister. Their silence confirmed what she already knew: last night hadn't been a mistake. It had been permission. She opened her laptop. The first email she sent was to the wedding venue. Her name was on the contract. Her credit card was the one charged. The woman on the phone sounded sympathetic when she explained she needed to cancel. "I understand," the coordinator said softly. "I'll process the refund immediately." One by one, she canceled everything. The florist. The caterer. The decorator. Each conversation was polite, efficient, painfully easy. Money flowed back into her account like a tide reversing. Funds she had saved carefully. Funds she had been told were a family contribution. She didn't feel guilty. By noon, she had made another call, this one longer, heavier. The real estate agent paused when she explained she wanted to sell the house. "You're the legal owner?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "I always have been." There was no hesitation after that. The paperwork moved quickly. The house was desirable, good location, well cared for, no visible damage. She had spent years fixing leaks, repainting walls, replacing appliances, quietly investing in a home that was never emotionally hers. Potential buyers came and went. She watched them walk through the rooms, imagining lives that didn't include silent dinners or conditional love. For the first time, she saw the house clearly, not as a family home, but as an asset. And assets could be sold. At night, she packed. She didn't take much. Clothes. Documents. A few books she loved. A framed photo of herself at 20, smiling without apology. Everything else, everything that had once been called shared, she left behind. Each empty drawer felt lighter. Her sister still sent messages, complaints about stress, about vendors not responding, about payments getting messed up. Her mother asked if she had seen certain invoices. Her father called once, then didn't leave a voicemail. She didn't respond. Not out of spite. Out of clarity. They had told her to disappear. She was simply honoring the request. The sale finalized on a quiet Thursday afternoon. She signed her name carefully, feeling the weight of it, how much power it held, how little she had been allowed to realize that before. When the money transferred into her account, she didn't smile. She exhaled. That night, she walked through the empty house one last time. The walls were bare. The rooms echoed. It no longer felt sad, only honest. She placed the keys on the counter and turned off the lights. For years, she had waited for permission to leave. They had finally given it to her. And this time, she wasn't walking away empty-handed. They noticed something was wrong 3 days before the wedding. At first, it was small things. The florist stopped answering calls. The decorator sent a brief email asking for updated payment information. The venue manager left a voicemail that sounded too professional, too careful. Her sister blamed everyone else. "People are so incompetent," she snapped, pacing the living room. "I swear, if this wedding falls apart." Their mother tried to soothe her, promising everything would be fine. Their father sat quietly, scrolling through his phone, convinced it was a temporary inconvenience. After all, things had always worked out before. They always did, because she had always been there, quietly fixing what others broke. Then they went to the house. Her sister unlocked the door, already mid-complaint, and stepped inside. The echo stopped her cold. Her footsteps rang against bare floors. The familiar smell of furniture polish and cooking spices was gone, replaced by something hollow and unfamiliar. The walls were stripped clean, no photos, no decorations, no warmth. "What is this?" her sister whispered. Their mother walked in behind her, confusion turning to panic. She opened a closet. Empty. She rushed to the kitchen. The cabinets were bare. Even the refrigerator hummed uselessly, unplugged and abandoned. Their father moved through the room slowly, his face tightening with each step. "This isn't funny," he said, though no one had laughed. They searched the house like people expecting to find her hiding behind a door. But there was no bed to sleep in, no couch to sit on, no sign she had ever lived there at all. Only emptiness. Her sister's voice rose, sharp and shrill. "She can't do this. This is our house." Their father finally said the words that changed everything. "It's not." The realization hit them in stages, contracts checked, bank calls made, legal truths confirmed. The house had always been in her name. The bills had always been paid from her accounts. The wedding deposits, every last one, had come from her. Everything they assumed belonged to the family had belonged to her. And she had taken it with her. Her mother sank into a chair that wasn't there anymore and covered her mouth with trembling hands. "She wouldn't," she whispered. "She wouldn't leave us like this." But she had. The venue confirmed the cancellation. No wedding date. No refunds to them. The caterer refused to speak without the account holder present. Every door closed politely, firmly. Her sister screamed. Accusations flew: selfish, cruel, ungrateful. They demanded answers, apologies, explanations. None came. What hurt most wasn't the money or the chaos. It was the realization that the daughter they had dismissed had been the foundation beneath their feet. And now that foundation was gone. They returned to the house one last time, hoping, somehow, that she had made a mistake. That's when they saw the envelope. It sat on the kitchen counter, plain and white, addressed to family in handwriting they recognized instantly. No anger. No flourish. Just finality. Her sister reached for it with shaking hands. Whatever was inside, they knew one thing for certain now. She hadn't disappeared because she was weak. She had disappeared because she finally understood what she was worth, and they were about to learn the cost of treating her like nothing. The envelope felt heavier than it should have. Her sister stood frozen in the middle of the empty kitchen, the letter clutched between her fingers like it might burn her skin. Their mother hovered behind her, pale and trembling, while their father watched in silence, his jaw set in a way it only ever was when he realized control had slipped through his hands. "Open it," their mother whispered. Her sister did. The paper inside was neatly folded. No perfume. No tear stains. Just words, calm, deliberate, impossible to ignore. "You asked me to disappear. So I did. This house was mine. The payments were mine. The wedding costs were mine. I didn't take anything that wasn't already mine, and I didn't leave to punish you." Her mother's breath hitched. "I left because staying taught me that my value here was conditional. That love was offered only when I was useful, quiet, or paying for someone else's happiness. You raised me to be responsible. I became dependable. Somewhere along the way, you forgot I was also human." Her sister scoffed, though her voice shook. "This is manipulation." But no one agreed with her. "When you told me the greatest gift was my disappearance, and no one defended me, something became very clear. I was not family to you. I was a convenience." Their father swallowed hard. "I am done shrinking myself to make room for people who erase me. I am choosing a life where I am not tolerated, but wanted. I hope the silence in this house teaches you what my voice never could. Goodbye." There was no signature. There didn't need to be. The letter slipped from her sister's hand and landed on the bare counter with a soft sound that echoed through the room. No one spoke. There was nothing left to argue, no excuse that could undo what had already been said and done. For the first time, their mother cried openly. Not loud, dramatic sobs, but quiet tears of regret sliding down her face. She reached for the counter for support and found nothing to hold on to. Their father stared at the empty space where family photos once hung. He remembered moments he had dismissed, times she had stayed silent, nodded, agreed. Times he had mistaken obedience for acceptance. And her sister, standing in the center of it all, felt something unfamiliar twist in her chest. Loss. Miles away, the young woman sat on the floor of a small, sunlit apartment. The walls were bare. The furniture was minimal. Everything in the room had been chosen by her, for her. A single suitcase lay open beside her, half unpacked. She made tea and watched steam rise from the cup, feeling something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. No one was waiting for her to apologize. No one was asking her to fix anything. No one expected her to disappear again. She had done it once, on her own terms. As sunlight spilled across the floor, she smiled softly, not with triumph, but with relief. The kind that comes when you finally stop begging for love and start giving it to yourself. Behind her, her phone remained silent. Ahead of her, a life waited, wide open, unclaimed, and finally hers.